AskReddit by Apprehensive Shock 655. What's the worst part of having a child? The weight gain. During the pregnancy I gained 35 pounds. My belly has stretch marks. My boobs are all saggy. And it's not even fair because my wife only gained like 15. Dude, I have coffee all of my pants thanks to you. It's incessant. It never stops. You never get a day off. Going from having 2 days per week to relax and do whatever to literally never having a moment free from responsibility. I've always wanted kids and still do, but this is the only thing that has come close to giving me pause. Both my siblings have young kids and I cannot get over how constant it is. From the second the kids wake up to when they finally shut their eyes, it's non-stop. Then they get maybe an hour or two to themselves, which is mostly spent tidying up, etc. Before the nighttime stuff starts, baby crying, toddler coming into bed, nightmares, etc. It requires years of not getting a full night's rest. You can never just go out whenever you want. No sleeping in even on weekends because someone has to be up with them at 6 AM. Raising human children is an insane task. The constant anxiety that you're doing enough to shape them to make good choices, a good life, be a good person, and for them to have the life they deserve. I think most children learn way more from how their parents live their life than from what their parents try to actively teach them. So as long as you love your kids and live a reasonable and healthy life, you're probably doing okay already. The days drag on, but the years fly by. The fingerprints on the wall get higher and higher, and then they disappear altogether. My mom. You have to feed them like every day. You can try let them grass feed on their own if you have a house with lawn around. The worry that I'm a bad parent that's doing things wrong. I've observed that parents who have the capability to worry if they are doing things wrong are generally good parents. It's the ones that are 100% certain that their way is correct that I worry about. I too have these worries, but we just do the best we can, go with the knowledge we have at the time. I know I'll do things different with my second compared to my first, but we all just have to be willing to learn along the way. Being worried 24/7. Watching them make the same mistakes you did even though you told them not to make those mistakes. Little Jimmy, if you borrow a bunch of money, those people are going to want it back, and if they don't get it back they'll take stuff you won't want taken. To add to this, they are going to watch you copy some of your habits and you will start to realize how annoying those habits are. When people ask me this I say, you know those video games where you have to escort a character to a destination without them being attacked? That's parenting. Those missions are a pain in the ass. And they walk at half your speed, so you have to keep circling back for them. Spot on. They're just always there. On you, behind you, in front of you, just a little speed bump impeding every task. Lol. Mine are 10 and 13 and I will confirm that one of them is always there. My 10-year-old is like my shadow and she always wants to be where we are. I love her dearly, but good lord let me breathe. I'm only 9 years in, but so far it's been the sleep deprivation. Hands down. Eater, I'm not still sleep deprived. My kids sleep great now at nearly 9 and amp 5. But that was the hardest part of parenthood for me so far. My kids are 14, 18 yo. Your kids become champion sleepers in their tweens. Bellowing that they must sleep in on Saturday and Sunday. There's more whiplash too. They don't want me to cook for them. They just want another top ramen. They don't want to play. They are busy text messaging W friends. The sudden lack of codependency is bittersweet tbh. Worrying about how the outside world will treat them. I will never forget the first time I saw another child being mean to my daughter and having to keep it together and remind myself that it was a child. Shit's difficult. Yeah, cosign on constant worry. Having a kid is like having a little piece of your heart running around in the world. When they are sick or get disappointed or just feel sad, it's worse than having it happen to you. Yet at the same time, you need to let your kids work through those things to learn to handle them. If you give in to the worry and try to shield them from everything, you risk creating harmful codependence. So it's a constant struggle. But worth it. Having to deal with their total lack of self-preservation. They are creative and come up with all kinds of ways to try and kill themselves. Keeping ahead of the game is exhausting. My son is 3. He has this globe with name tabs that go into the continents. He was having a nap today and we told him he had to put the continents away. He tried to swallow one of the name tags. Like right in front of us, fired it in his mouth and began to choke. I'm glad we were both there. That globe has gone away for a while. It's like taking a second job that lasts 18+ years with 24/7 schedule with no holidays or sick days. And no second paycheck. If they are born with severe disabilities, you will need to take care of them or make plans for their care for as long as they are alive. It's heartbreaking. Many marriages don't make it. My utmost respect to parents of special needs children. My family and I run care homes for adults with disabilities. We empathize with you. Some parents just drop them off at our doorstep with a suitcase and never look back, not even a visit ever. Some of the parents are in their 50s or 70s who never had a break and never wanted them in a care home because of the guilt they would feel leaving them with someone else. But after a certain point, they physically and mentally can't handle it. To those parents, I hope there are options and programs where you live. Just know, there are homes and caregivers who devote their lives to make sure you and your loved ones are in good hands. We are governed by regional centers in the state, so rest assured we feed them well, have really nice housing conditions, integrate them into the community and act as an extension of their family. It's nice to have their families visit once in a while to see their losing them. I lost my 14-year-old daughter to suicide in 2020. It's the worst pain and you can't imagine it until you are in it. I'll never be the same, and if I didn't have my son I'm not sure I'd still be here. Deleted. Having to take care of a sick child when you are also sick. For me that has been the most challenging part so far. I always manage to catch their bug just as they start getting better. So kiddo is back at 100% and wanting to charge around and play, all the while I'm struggling to even think. The loss of freedom. I can't just go somewhere. Even with older kids, there's so much planning and thinking and getting ready. I miss being able to just decide to go somewhere, and go there. Yeah, the loss of individual freedom is tough. Losing them. My 15-year-old son died suddenly on Tuesday morning. His dad went to wake him for school and he wasn't breathing. He had no health conditions and we don't know the cause of death yet. My baby is just gone. Every single part of parenting is a challenge. But losing a child is a pain unlike anything I've ever known. Having a child is taking a risk that someday your whole world could be shattered, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. Eater. Thank you so much to everyone who has commented. This has been such a devastating time for me, and it really does help to know that people out there care enough to comfort and grieve with a stranger. Thank you all, from the bottom of my heart. Deepest sympathies X. Deleted. My dad died at 64 in 2017. Grandma is still around and she's 96 now. Every time I see her she starts crying and tells me stories about him as a child. Breaks my heart that she still is in pain from it. Outliving your children must be horrible no matter how old you are. The strain on your marriage relationship. We thought we were completely prepared since our child was planned. Then you add the responsibility and stress and the takeaway sleep. Didn't sleep through the night for 9 straight months. We were at each other's throats every single day. We finally got ourselves figured out and are good now. Postpartum depression is no joke. That along with no sleep and everything else is extremely hard. Divorce was discussed, But we made it through and are doing well now also. Your life's no longer yours. By time you get home from work, sort tea, sort kitchen, get then in bed, you've about an hour before you got to go to bed to start it all over again. Edit. When I say tea I mean dinner supper, not a cup of tea. When my son asks me to play, I don't want to say no. But there's laundry, and dishes, and food prep, and grocery shopping, and getting dressed, and travel time, and work, and I do a class a semester to progress my career. When do you sleep? When do I talk to my wife? When do we go on a date? When do we see family? We haven't done the movie theater or restaurants for years now. My 30s are just gonna fly out the window and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm divorced and the worst part of having kids is being tied to my ex forever. I'm sorry. I have 2 kids with my ex and I believe we have the easiest custody ever. When I filed for divorce I made it known that he and I did not work as a couple, but it absolutely did not include the kids and they are both of ours. His mom and I still vacation and hang out together. I still call her my Mill. I hate hearing about situations where the kids are used as weapons and everything is a fight to see them. Shouldn't be like that. My ex knows he is welcome here anytime and I make sure he knows everything that is going on with them. Haven't seen anyone mention the strain it can put on your relationship. It's immensely difficult to communicate properly when you're stressed, worried and sleep deprived. Work on your relationship as much as you do at being a parent and you'll have a good foundation. When you have a child who has severe difficulties, whether physical or mental. In our case, my daughter has a severe mental illness. Everyone gets pregnant and thinks everything is going to be wonderful and the kid is automatically going to grow up and get good grades and have friends and do normal kid things. That's what you think and that's what everyone tells you. It's a cruel thing to realize that in reality, generics is a lottery and some of us will lose. Some kids will not have the life you envisioned. Losing him. This sounds horrible. I can't imagine the pain you must have gone through. I'm sure the love you had for him provided a lot of comfort. I'm really so sorry to hear about your loss. Take care of yourself. For me, I just really like to be alone sometimes. Before kids I would just go downstairs and watch a TV show, play PlayStation, or play guitar and my wife would do her own thing as well. Now, I have maybe 1 hour of alone time, sometimes none, every couple of days. It's at 11 at night and I'm tired as fuck then and the next day. It's the hardest part for me. Love them to death, but it's hard to be on all the time with work and them when at home. Transitions. From baby to toddler, to little kid, to big kid. Time passes by and with it they start growing into independent persons. Our parents' love grows with them, but their feeling of knowing sooner than later they will belong to the world, and we adults possess the understanding that the world is. This can be both beautiful and scary. 100%. My daughter is a toddler and remembering how quickly it seemed my son went from toddler to little boy makes me cherish every moment with both of them. Besides all the other things mentioned, having your internal organs rearranged. Some of them permanently. This is what I've struggled with the most. My uterus, bladder, cervix, and bowels are all completely f***ed after my last pregnancy. Getting surgery to repair it all in 4 weeks. Cannot wait to hopefully never pee involuntarily again. Lol. For me it's giving up a part of myself that I will never get back. Don't get me wrong. I would choose to do it every time. But there is a mourn of a previous self and the sacrifice I need to do to become the best father I can be, and that can be hard sometimes. I struggled hard with this until recently. For me it took almost a total reinvention of who I was, and learning to love myself, to find some peace with it. We have 3 kids, the oldest is 7, and they occupy the majority of my time and headspace. Once I radically accepted that life was never going to be what it once was, I could start looking forward at who I wanted to be. Found hobbies that could be interrupted. I went back to college. Started working out again. It was rough for a while. But I was either going to get over it, or go totally insane. My sister is not okay after losing her son. He was 27, harrowing odd. Broken heart. Watching them stray down the wrong path. Wishing they'd listen to you. I feel so bad for my mom for the way I acted as a teenager. I got into drugs, did some real life threatening shit, got arrested. Me getting arrested was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had to be sober for a year. I really turned my life around. After probation ended, I had one night where I got back into drugs and watched someone overdose, and that was it for me. Now I have a master's degree and an amazing job, husband, daughter. I hate knowing I put my mom through all that. Sometimes you don't know till you know. My top thing I tell expecting parents is you no longer sleep when you see fit. Tired? Too bad. You've got responsibilities and humans to keep alive. This worsens because not only do you wake up when they do and go to sleep after them, but you're also inclined to stay up later for doing whatever grown-up stuff you enjoy. I'm so guilty of staying up way too late to watch shows that aren't exactly kid-friendly. My wife is all into the true crime stuff, so we get the kids to bed then stay up until 1-2 some nights watching stuff. Guess who doesn't give a shit? The kids. They are up at 7-8 ready to rock, and I'm yet to find their snooze buttons. I'm fortunate to function well on anything over 6 hours of sleep, her not so much. She's currently passed out on the couch as I type this, for the exact reasons listed above, lol. Your life is not your own anymore. It's both the best and worst parts of being a parent. I've heard it said, you are not the main character in the story anymore. Number 1, watching them be in pain, physical or emotional. Number 2, cleaning up vomit. Currently both parents being sick after we caught it from our child, who is all better now and wants to play. We have no local support for babysitting in these situations. When you give them life advice and they listen to their stupid 17-year-old friends instead. Most frustrating thing ever. Also, I'd like to apologize to my parents for when I was 17 and stupid. TW. Childless. Having to pay the hospital bill after they have passed and are no longer with you. Always wondering what their little or big personality would have been like. Everyone else forgetting they ever existed even though you are still here, celebrating their birthday without them. I remember getting a call from the insurance company once, trying to tell me about some new thing they were offering that was related to caring for my son and his cancer treatment. Except he died a few weeks earlier. Never heard anyone apologize and hang up quite so quickly before. So I'm with you on the bills and such. The weird, cold, bureaucratic bullshit is just so surreal. At the beginning, planning things becomes much more complicated. Want to fly? Gotta plan for stroller and car seat. Which car rental place is in the terminal so you don't have to haul all your kid stuff on a bus? And things can get messed up just because your kid is having a bad day. You might be out at a restaurant and your kid gets mad because, insert something here, so you just need to pay your bill and leave, or eat in shifts with so someone can be outside with a mad toddler. Don't get me wrong. I love my kid and wouldn't change anything, but details that never mattered to me before become things you have to take into consideration. My son had a tantrum BC. I had 2 forks in my napkin and he only had 1. Fun times. I don't know personally, but the other day I had a bad day and came home from work and laid in bed in the dark and ate pizza. I started thinking I can't possibly fathom having a day like that and then having to go home and take care of children. I was sick with strep last week. I'm 28, not married and child free. I had a moment when I looked in the mirror, pitiful Mayo, and said I can't even imagine having kids and being sick. I can hardly take care of myself. I'm so tired. Just tired all the time. I don't ever remember not feeling tired. The destruction of what your relationship with your partner was before. Yes, you have a new life and it's great. But it will never be the same. You will never just lie around and talk naked all morning. Every day has a schedule. New parent here. Baby is less than 6 months old. The worst part so far is all the unsolicited advice. Apparently everything you know is wrong, and the only reliable source is trust me, I raised kids 30-60 years ago, this is how it should be done. Well, Sharon, I saw your work, and I am not a fan. The constant, unsolicited advice you get from people. My wife would take our son out for walks, and every time someone would feel the need to comment about how he was dressed or positioned in the stroller. It was never constructive, was always wrong, and it really cuts into someone. On the flip side of that, I would take him out and would only ever get compliments as to how attentive a father I was. The double standard is brutal, especially when the bar is so low for dads to look attentive. How much you sacrifice. Kids take everything you've got and then ask for more. They are endless, remorseless need machines, or at least they feel that way, for a long time. But that's just the deal. And if you're up for it, it's a perfectly acceptable deal. But even when you are all in and completely okay about the sacrifice, sometimes it really feels like a lot. Having depression and having depressed children fucking sucks. If you have mental illness, and your kids get the same mental illness, it will double your mental illness. This is exactly why I'm never having kids. If I had to watch a kid go through what I went through, it would both break my heart and enrage me on a daily basis. There's just no reason to put either of us through that. I'm a seasoned vet at this point. My youngest is 18 and my oldest is about to have our first grandkid. Yes, you worry, but it won't change anything. Just minimize risks where you can and hope you've given them the tools to lead good lives. Not having a life for yourself. You aren't going anywhere for a while without some planning. Whether planning to have them with you and what that looks like, to planning on leaving them with someone for a week where you will wait for it. Worry. Spontaneity. I didn't know her. Not being listened to. Like, from the moment they can think independently to this very day. I assumed, wrongly, that when they were grown I could just tell them my experience and they'd be glad to take my advice and not cause themselves hurt, emotionally or otherwise. That was wishful thinking. Mess and money are obvious answers, but things can be cleaned and money can be made. Watching your kid figure out life, from small things to large, is awesome. My kids are my favorite people ever, and not one of them has listened to me. I learn more from them than they could have ever learned from me, but they are good people and that's all that matters. Drug addiction. Going to funerals, for boys and girls in their 20s and 30s. I'm old, I've been to more funerals for young people than elders like me. Young boys and girls, that were knee high, I fed, came to my house to play. I'd set up a tent, grill out, make homemade ice cream. Don't worry boys. The dog will protect you, but the back door will be unlocked if you get spooked. My niece died of an overdose. She went into the restroom at my sister's house. She never came out but her body did. Never had kids, lived frugally and retired at 55. Married a divorced woman with adult kids and now I get to be grandpop, which is like winning the lottery. That's honestly fucking genius.